So your puppy training isn't going to plan. We actually see this comment a lot on our YouTube channel. And I know that it's really frustrating when you're doing all of the things, but nothing seems to be working. Well, what you need is a plan. You actually need an if this, then that plan. And that's exactly what I'm going to set up for you in today's video, because sometimes hearing the information packaged a little bit differently can make all of the difference in the world and help you to see things in a totally different way. I'm Ken Steep, and welcome back to McCann Dogs. You're about to listen in on a conversation that instructor Shannon had with a new puppy owner named Jane, and Jane has got an adorable little golden puppy named Chelsea. Now, Jane is working through some of the most common puppy training challenges, and I'm sure you can relate. So if you're looking for solutions to your current puppy training struggles, then you need to watch this next section.
It's developing.
Okay. So meaning she's starting to nip now? Or, okay.
Yes, she is. We have lots of toys, some hard toys. We have lots of soft toys around. But sometimes if the toys are in the basket, she'd rather chew the basket than the toys. Or if my husband's shoe is there, she'd rather chew the shoe. So like yesterday, what did I do all day? It was just all day dog yesterday. Yeah. So,
okay.
So, and then one of the rugs that we have down, she's trying to chew at it. So I try to distract her with toys, but yeah, she is, the chewing has already started.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
With regards to what you're talking about, her being an all-day dog, she absolutely will be if that's sort of the opportunities that she gets. So I would suggest a little bit more crate time for her so that she can take those naps and she can rest. And then when she does come out, it might be 15 minutes at a time. You might have her out for an hour or so. You might be doing something like this where you're just snuggling with her on the couch. But ideally, it's all time that you can give her 100% of your attention.
Yes.
And if your attention has to wane for any reason at this stage, if your attention has to wane for any reason, if you've got laundry to do or if you've got, you've got work to do elsewhere or something, she's best to be in her crate in a safe space where you're not having to, oh my gosh, she's chewing that carpet again. And oh my gosh, now where did she go?
The electrical cord or something.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you're struggling with chewing, nipping, and biting, then you need to be a better manager, giving your puppy 100% of your attention while they're out of their crate. But simply supervising your puppy doesn't always mean that they're going to make the right choices. So how can you have great timing and be the best trainer for your puppy in this situation? Well, you need to know about the most important tool in your puppy training.
It's this. We call it a house line. Now you might be saying to yourself, that looks just like a leash, and it is a leash, but it's not my good training leash. It's not the leather one that I use when I'm out actually working with my puppy. It's a cotton line about the length of a leash that allows me to attach something to my dog and have them drag it around. And that literally becomes part of their wardrobe. Every time they come out of their crate, this gets attached to my dog's collar, and it's simply something that follows behind them. And being able to do that allows me to extend my reach. It allows me to use my voice. It allows me to interrupt things from happening before they've happened or even after they've happened without having to chase my pup, without having to make it a big deal, without my puppy learning that it's a game to run and grab things and move away. With it running behind my pup, I can simply use my voice. I can step on it. I can pick it up. I can redirect my puppy from things. If they're jumping up on me, I can use it to direct them off of me. If they're chewing on my pant legs, I can prevent them from doing so and help them make a different choice. This simple leash is what's going to make the biggest difference in your puppy training.
And then until she has some established understanding of commands, things like leave it or response to name, that sort of thing, until she understands how to listen to your voice and respond to your voice, you're best to try to set up your area so that she doesn't have a whole bunch of options. And the options that she does have are good, safe options. So once she gets to the point where you can say leave it and she'll understand, okay, that shoe's off limits because mom just told me to leave it, you'll be able to offer her more freedom. But until then, rather than having to chase her around and say no, no, no all the time, and just dealing with, it's normal puppy stuff. It's absolutely expected.
Yes.
But we want to, as much as possible, tell her what to do versus what not to do. So a little bit more of, a little bit more management and a little bit more use of the crate, I think will really help to make sure that you're not exhausted by the end of the day because it's been an all-day puppy thing.
Yes, been all night.
This is a skill that we teach every one of our dogs in our house. And if you have a puppy that you're constantly redirecting and they're always getting into trouble, then you need to teach them this skill.
You're going to need several pieces of food of high value to teach your dog to leave it when you ask them to. Now, as well as treats, you're also going to need some type of object or distraction to use in order to practice the leave it command. So today, I've gotten a Tupperware container and I filled it with lots of kibble and cookies. And I've poked a bunch of air holes in the top so that all the stinky smell of the treats can come out through the top of the canister, and that's gonna help her be a little bit distracted. So I'm gonna place that here. I have some high value treats in my hand, and I'm gonna use that to teach her to leave it alone. Now I'm gonna let B go ahead and investigate this distraction, and while she's paying attention to it, I'm gonna have my food ready. I'm gonna tell her leave it. I'm gonna lure her attention away from the distraction and back onto me. So I'm gonna let her go and check it out. Hey B, what's that? Check that out. Leave it. Yes, good girl. So what I'm looking for her to do is move in my direction in order to get the reward. So leave it means stop looking at what you're looking at and pay attention to me. So let's go ahead and try that again. What's that thing? What's that thing? Leave it. Yes, good girl. So it's very important that I have correct timing. I'm going to say leave it, followed 1 second later by showing her my reward and pulling her away from that distraction. Now you'll notice when I'm practicing this with my dog that I'm making a special effort to keep my leash loose. I don't want to say leave it and drag her away from the distraction. This is all about teaching my dog how to make her own choice. So I'm going to say the word and then I'm going to use my food to help her make that decision. And once she does, I'm going to reward from there. My leash is simply a backup plan. So I'm going to show you one more time. Okay, go check it out. Good girl. Leave it. Yes, good girl. So that was a good example of making sure I didn't yes too soon. She almost decided to go back to that distraction a second time, and it would have been really bad if I had yes and gave her a treat right there because she hadn't quite fully committed to paying attention to me.
Now, in terms of the nipping, she's been so good sitting here with me. If she is starting to nip and grab at you, things like that, is that happening at all?
Yeah.
Or is she pretty, okay,
Yeah.
alrighty. So some puppies come with little shark mode already
Yes.
activated, and some puppies are a little bit nicer. She's somewhere in between where she's been really lovely hanging out here, and she's being very, very patient and good. But the best thing that you can do with any sort of nipping is just right off the bat, be very clear it's not acceptable in a human world. And for puppies, it's all play, right?
Of course, yes, she doesn't understand.
Absolutely,
that, but she's-
And a lot of the times people will take it personally. They think their dogs don't like them because they're biting them, or you know, heaven forbid, they think their puppies are aggressive. Not the case. Puppies are just little land sharks.
Yes, like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you watch them playing with one another, you'll see teeth
Yes.
flying and wrestling and all sorts of fun-looking things going on. And when we see it with other puppies, we think, oh, they're having a blast. But then, of course, when it's with us, and humans tend to sort of sharply, or
then
run
we
away.
become the squeak toy.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you got it. Oh, Jane, you're right on the money. So smart. The most effective stopping of the nipping is going to be addressing it right away. And at this age, it's usually really easy to convince them. So I like to do what we call a collar and body hold.
If you have a puppy who's constantly nipping and biting, then you have a bit of work to do, and it all starts with this exercise.
I would venture to say that you've probably held and hugged your puppy a million times at this point. But the type of hold that I'm talking about is more of a restraint. It's less sort of snuggly and more of a type of secure hold. So I'm going to practice that with her right now, and I'm only going to do it for a moment. And if she is calm and relaxed, I'm going to yes and reward. Where did your bone go? We're not going to do the bone thing right now though. So this is actually really good. I'm actually going to take the fact that she wants this bone as a bit of an example, because there could, when you take her into the vet, she might not be wanting to deal with that at this point. She wants to chew on this bone right now. So I'm going to work a little bit on the restraint. So I'm just going to pick her up. My one hand's going to go over top of her side here. My other hand I'm going to secure underneath her collar, underneath her chin here. And I'm just going to hold her against my body. Good girl, well done. I'm holding her pretty securely. Now she is being a rock star, so I need to quit while I'm ahead. Oops, I waited too long. So I'm just gonna wait till she settles. Yes, excellent, good girl. And then I'm gonna reward her, excellent. Now, if you ever had a second person to help you with this, they could actually reward as you were holding. But if you're on your own, you're just gonna do exactly what I did. I said yes as I was holding, and then I could place her down gently to reward. So I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna lift her up again. I'm gonna hold her nice and tight against my body. Yes, good girl. Wow, Missy Moo, that was so good. And as you practice, you can just hold for a little bit longer at a time. But again, watch your technique. You're holding in a specific way so that they can't turn and nip at you, and they feel secure and comfortable in your arms. Oh, what a good girl. I want her to sort of be like a limp noodle. Yes, we can call this the limp noodle test.
And at this age, that tends to be more than enough for what they need. The problem lies in letting it go on. And a lot of the times people think, oh, she's too young. I don't want to fix this right now, or I don't want to correct, or I don't want to do anything that might put her off. But it is so important to establish this early, because once it's established, they go, oh, okay.
I can do that.
get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the longer you leave it, the harder it is. Like dealing with nipping with an 8-week-old puppy versus dealing with nipping with a 12-week-old puppy versus a 16-week-old puppy, they're entirely different ball games. So ideally, that one gets fixed now, and then she won't develop that into a habit at all.
So let's say she has nipped you. Do you then just say no?
I would actually use a scold. That's a great question. So rather than using a human word where she might hear that word and then either start to lose importance for it or start to panic that every time she hears you say no in conversation, that means she's in trouble. Yeah, depending on her personality. If she's a softie, some puppies will really, oh my gosh, and then as they get older and older, they continue to harbor that worry about certain words. So I like to use just a little something like that, something that says, I might say, hey, if I'm going to say anything, because I don't generally say that in everyday conversation, but if that comes up in your everyday conversation, you're better to pick something up. But yeah, that's a great question. So the scold would mark the offending behavior, the offending nipping, so that you can say, hey, I don't like that, and then follow through with a little bit of a collar and body hold right now should be great. Hi, buddy. How you doing, Arthur? He's a good boy.
You're being good.
No, who's that dog down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and timing is important with all of it. So don't think that you need to panic and rush, but do try to make sure that you're using that scold at the moment where you don't like what's happening. And then likewise, when there's something that you really do like what's happening, so say for example, you walk into the kitchen and she's following behind you and she sits politely beside you while you're getting her meal ready.
Reward her by
Absolutely, you got it. So we use a word yes as a marker that says you've done something right, you've earned a reward. And where in those everyday life situations you can capture those obedience skills from your puppy, that is very powerful. So if she says, oh, coming into the kitchen here and sitting beside you earns me a treat, then she doesn't actually ever get to the point where she goes, what if I investigate what's on the counter there? What if I jump up? And right now she's of course too little. But pretty soon she'll be of size. So if you establish value for the things you want nice and early on in the situation, you are going to be away to the races. It will make your life so much easier.
Now that you know what to do to stop your puppy from making some of these bad decisions, you need to know exactly what to do when they make the right choice. If you're ready to start rewarding your puppy correctly, then watch this video. On that note, I'm Ken. Happy training.